Okay, so we're going to graph inequalities. Some things that are really important. If there's no line, then you're going to have dotted lines. So those inequality signs with no lines means you're going to have dotted. When it says equal to or equal to, and there's a line under that inequality, that means that that's going to be a nice solid line. And then the other thing, anything that is going to be less than, those means that you are going to shade below. Anything that says greater than or equal to, that means that you are going to shade above. And then we have some special equations, and then those special equations, y equals a, x is equal to a, that's going to be a vertical line, so it's going to be x is equal to a, whatever that is. And this one, when you have a zero slope, this is when you're going to get a y equals, and then whatever this b-intercept, whatever that y-intercept is. And then you're going to have oblique, that's just going to be diagonal lines, diagonal or oblique. Those are just going to be positive or negative slopes. So that's a positive slope, that's a negative slope. Again, negative slope, positive slope. And then you have the same thing for a standard. So here we have an example. And your y-intercept is positive 5. So I've graphed the line positive 5, and then our slope is negative 1/3, and this should be a 3, not a 5. So negative 1/3. So that means that I'm going to go down 1 and to the right 3. So we started my y-intercept at 5, down 1 and to the right 3. Down 1 and to the right 3. Down 1 and to the right 3. And then it's going to be, is it going to be dotted or solid? So my question is, oh, it's got that line under it. So then I know that this is going to be a solid line because you've got this line under it. So when it has that line under it, you know that it's going to be nice and solid. And then it's less than, so now I'm going to have to shade below because it's going to be less than is going to be below. So I'm going to use my ruler. And I'm going to draw a solid line connecting my points. And now I have to shade below that, which is all below. So, and then that's how you're going to do this. So now you've got the back side. So flip your paper over. And now we've got some special things of how to go through. And remember that when you multiply or divide by a negative number on both sides of the inequality, that means you have to flip the inequality. So we have to flip it. This is like something that we need to know because you're going to convert standard form into y-intercept. So I'm going to subtract my 4x. I'm going to subtract my 4x. 4x minus 4x cancels out, and I have negative 3y is less than negative 12 minus 4x. And then we're going to go through and we're going to divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. But when I divide, I have to flip that inequality. So instead of less than, it's now going to be greater. And so now you've got y is greater than negative 12 divided by negative 3 is positive 4. And then 4 divided by 3 is 4 over 3. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then you have x. So y is greater than 4 plus 4/3 x. Again, is that solid or dotted? So I look and it doesn't have a line under it. There's no line. So it's going to be a dotted line. And it is now greater. So it now is greater. And so greater means that I'm going to shade above that line because it's going to be, we have our y-intercept to be 4. And then our slope is positive 4 over 3. So that means I'm going to go up 4 and to the right 3. So we're going to graph our line at 4. And then you're going to go up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the left 3 to get a better thing, so I can do 2 slopes. So now when you work backwards, in order to get this next one, instead of going up and to the right, I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to move to the left 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and to the left 3. And so this just gives me kind of like more points, and it's easier to do a more accurate drawing. I'm not going to make you do this. I'm just saying it's a little bit easier to do. So that's why I do this. So now we're going to draw this, and then we're going to do, oh, what does it say? It needs to be a dotted line. So I'm going to put my ruler there, and then I'm just going to make a dotted line. Go through and make your dotted line. And then it says, oh, yeah, we're going to shade above that, and we're going to shade above this particular line. So I shade above because it's going to be everything that is going to be greater. Remember, we had to flip it. So here's a new one. And if you use X and Y intercepts, you can most definitely do this way. If you use X and Y intercepts, so your X-intercept, your Y value is going to be 0. So you're going to have something 0. So the Y is going to be 0. So you have 4X is less than negative 12. And we're going to divide by 4, divide by 4. So X is going to be negative 12 divided by 4 is 3. So your Y-intercept is negative 3. Okay? Or your X-intercept is negative 3. So then this one right here says, okay, we're going to go through and we're going to do this, except we're going to find our Y-intercept. Whoops, wrong color, wrong type of pen. So now when we go through and we find our Y-intercept, in this case, our Y-intercept is going to be when X is 0. So I don't really need 4 times 0. So we have negative 3 times negative 3y is less than or equal to negative 12. We're going to divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. So y is equal to 12 divided by 3 is 4. So then my y-intercept is 4, and you get 0, 4. So on my graph, we are going to go, my x-intercept, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put a dot. And my y-intercept was at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We already knew that. So this is going to be, whoops, you can't see. Sorry, guys. You can't see that. So I just graphed my y-intercept and I graphed my x-intercept. And we already know that there's no line underneath, so that's going to be a dotted line. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to make a dotted line. So here's the problem when you use x and y intercepts, is that you have to do a test point to figure out where to shade. If I'm going to shade above or if I'm going to shade below. So you have to do a test point. The easiest test point is to let x be 0, 0. So I'm going to test this point 0, 0, and I'm going to test if that's true or false. So if I go 4 times 0 minus 3 times 0, is that less than negative 12? So 4 times 0, 0. 3 times 0, 0. 0 minus 0, 0. Is 0 less than negative 12? Is this true or false? You ask yourself, is 0 smaller than negative 12? And this is false. So because this is false, you now are going to shade above. If it was true, you would shade where that point, where this is. But that is a false statement. 0 does not satisfy because 0 is not less than negative 12. It's greater than. So now we're going to shade above. So that's the trick. So honestly, guys, if I were you, I would convert to y equals mx plus b. I would not do that, but I did show you how to do it if you want to, just because you would have that. All right. And then that's how you graph y-intercept equation.